You can now connect Claude straight to Canva, which means you can describe what you want in a simple chat and get an actual editable Canva design in return that you can still then edit yourself. In this video, you'll learn how to connect the Claude and Canva using the connector, how to prompt it and create something you can use in your content and business in no time. I'm Natalia and I help creators like you turn content to income, freedom, and a brand you're proud of, so let's do this. By the way, I'm working on a course to make video editing easy and fun in Canva, so if you want in, make sure to check out the link in the description and sign up on the waitlist now. So very quickly, Claude is the AI assistant and then Canva is still your design tool. And then this connector is basically the bridge that lets the two of them talk to each other. So rather than using Claude only to give you ideas or hand you a flat image, it can actually go to your account and create real Canva designs that are fully editable. And of course, you will then be able to open them up and find them in your account and they're saved there forever. Of course, this is not some magic workflow that's going to give you perfect results every single time. So it's actually your skill and input and of course your own taste that's going to then make them absolutely ready to post, but it can definitely take care of the bulk of the work for you. Now let me show you how to connect the two, so let's jump to Claude. So to connect Canva to your Claude account, it's actually super simple and you can do it in two different ways. The simplest is to just jump into the chat, click the plus sign, go to add connector and then browse connectors. From here, you see this whole directory of different tools that you can use. All you need to do is to type in Canva here at the top, and then you can just click on it. From here, you will be able to connect it. Now, you'll see the sign-in steps. You'll see the specific team that you need to select. I have multiple different teams, but this is the one that I want to connect. And then all you have to do is to click Allow here at the bottom, and that's going to work and authorize access. You can see the prompt here at the top says that it's connected. How you can actually easily check it is to then jump back into the connectors and you'll see Canva enabled. An alternative way is just to go to settings of your account and then two connectors at the bottom, and you should be able to see this in here, and you can also add connectors from the top as well, but that's just an alternative to something that you can very simply do from within the chat. Let's start with something that a lot of us probably create already, which is a carousel. They're hugely popular on Instagram and they can actually really help you grow. This is a format that's also available for kind of LinkedIn carousels and things like that. So it's really universal, and I've chosen it just because it's a more complex design than a simple single page design. Now, if you've watched my channel, you know that I really value my own input, and I think as creators and small business owners, it's really important for us to rely on that and to actually provide the context for the AI tool so that our content can be, of course, authentic to ours, but also so much better because Claude or any other AI tool has more to go on. So I'm not going to use a very simple prompt like create a carousel for content creation. I'm going to give it a prompt that is structured and contains a lot of context. So this is the prompt that I'm going to use in here. So I'm saying I'm planning a Canva carousel content for creators, small business owners who use Canva to market their work. You can read the rest of it, but the baseline of this is that I am providing not only what I want, I'm also saying who it's for and what the purpose is, but also I'm giving it specific structure of what this carousel is. Now, for this, as you can see, I'm saying give me 10 Canva specific topic ideas that fit this structure. And you can see the structure here at the bottom. So I'm going to give it 6 different slides. The first one is the hook. The second is the secondary hook. And then we've got the 3-step process. So this is super important because not only am I giving it, again, the context for what I want, I'm actually giving it almost like an outline for every single carousel so that Claude can give me ideas that are actually, fit for purpose and they're actually following this step. So let me just send this message, and while of course it's working on proposing these ideas for me, I also want to mention very quickly that a lot of us very often will go to Claude to source those ideas, which I think is not ideal. It's best if those ideas actually come from you, but sometimes you're stuck, sometimes you're trying to just refine those ideas, and this will be the step where you start with Claude, and how do you then get it over to the content stage, right? So this is something that we can really work on very easily from here, but let me show you what it got for me. So you've got 10 different topics, and of course my role in here is to make sure that I'm reviewing it and making sure that everything that is said in here is actually accurate, right? So let's see, we've got turn one design into a week of content, we've got building a brand kit, scroll stopping carousel cover, lead magnet people actually want. So we have a good variety in here. Let me see what I can actually use in here. So I actually like number one the most. However, However, I would definitely change the steps in here because it's talking about a grid layout. And one of my favorite workflows within Canva is to use a sheet to plan your content. And this is what I'm going to tell it to adjust for me. Okay, so I'm telling it that I like 9 the most, but I'm changing the steps to what my workflow would do. So I'm going to just give it to Claude, and hopefully that's going to, of course, think about the structure for the post itself, but we're going to do more stuff in it just to create that design. So this is the copy that it gave me. Now, very importantly, would I actually go ahead and change the wording of it just so it sounds like me? Yes, absolutely, I would. This would be very, very important for this content to actually stay mine and sound like me. Something that's very useful at that stage, and also probably from the beginning of the chat, I could have done that, is to actually go to the plus sign and add it to a specific project. This for me would be my YouTube script writing project, where I actually refine ideas for scripts. And what I would do in that case is that I would ask it to pull from my style of writing, because this particular project contains my previous scripts from YouTube and also a bunch of different kind of social media posts and things like that, so that it knows exactly how I communicate with my audience, and therefore it would know how to create copy that is much more tailored to how I would more naturally sound. You can do it kind of by adding this project in here later on. However, I should have done that beforehand. Now I want to, of course, map it to how you would do it if you didn't have that project. By the way, if you want me to dive deeper on how to set up Claude just to analyze your content a little bit better and understand you and give you the results that would be much closer to who you are and what your brand is, then definitely let me know in the comments, because there's so much more in terms of like brand and giving it strategy and things like that, so that it has all the information. Again, let me know down below. And what we're going to do at this stage is to actually create that design, or have Claude create that design for us within Canva. So again, I'm just double checking that that connector is enabled. It is in here. You can see that the toggle is active. Now I'm going to give it my prompt. So I'm going to say, using my striped Instagram carousel brand template from the Canva brand template as the base, create this Instagram carousel. Again, I'm repeating the structure, right? So I'm giving it the structure just in case it just misses something in the meantime. And then I'm saying, keep the headings and subheadings short. So even though it actually generated all the slides for me, it will of course have to now go ahead to my Canva account, find this brand template, and actually analyze it so I understand that the structure matches what we've generated in here. So I'm going to prompt it now, and hopefully that's going to now pick up this tool from the connector. So let's see how it does. Okay, perfect. You can see that it's finding the tools, and you can see that it's saying create design from brand template, and it starts editing this design. Now, in the meantime, I want to very quickly just jump to this brand template that I've actually called for in this prompt, just because it's going to be a bit more of a visual for you to understand what I want it to do, right? So while Claude actually goes and actually looks at this design template in here, now I'm going to show you this. So you can see that the first one is the hook, then you've got the secondary hook, and then you have the 3 steps that I mentioned. Now you've got this placeholder in here, but I want to leave it in there just because I prefer to add my own visuals. And of course, if I'm going to be doing like a Canva flow in here, I want to actually include my own screenshots or recordings of my Canva screen while I'm doing this. So again, the bulk of the work will be done by Claude, but I'm going to just finish it all up with everything that's needed for this carousel. So you can see the baseline in here. And again, it follows the structure very, very quickly. Now, as you can see, it says start editing design, edit design. What you'll see very often is that we'll ask you for permission very often for, accessing or merging designs. You'll see a little box. I'll try to give you this little kind of snippet in here on screen just so you know what it looks like. So you will have to actually allow this for it. However, you can see in here that this is what the draft is. So it actually, again, changed everything that it needed just to match the style of the content. And then from here, I can actually say, perfect, committed to the design. Yes, please give me the design. Cool. So you've got the view link and the edit link. That's a new one. I've not seen it before. I've actually only got an edit link always. So let me click on it and see what it does. So you'll see that once it gives you an actual design, this can take many, many different forms. By the way, sometimes it will give you like a little panel. Sometimes it will give you, just kind of a list of different designs with IDs. It varies wildly of like how this connector kind of works and connects to Canva. However, I can just jump to open it, and then you'll see that that it actually created this for me. Cool. So you've got plan your content calendar in Canva, build your whole month of content without starting from a blank page. Perfect. This is actually fully usable, right? So all I need to do is just to swap the visuals in here and then I'm sorted. Now, staring at a blank calendar every single month, I can actually just adjust kind of the sizing of it and that's sorted, right? One Canva sheet can hold your whole plan. Cool. That's perfect. Open a Canva sheet. Again, this is a bit more of a kind of tweak in here that I would do, but this is the point, right? If you have a good template that is actually created in a way that can be filled very easily, and you're actually asking for the carousel to match the structure of the template that you've got, this is how good the results can be. So this is really cool. You've got map out your content for your month, add your content ideas, super cool. Then start creating posts. Again, maybe I would tweak it to this and maybe have this a little bit different. Let's see if I can get rid of the apps at the bottom. I mean, I could kind of, shift it and make sure that it looks a little bit different. I could, of course, change the positioning in here ever so slightly and maybe make it look a little bit different than the previous ones and build your calendar today. One Canva space for planning. I don't like the CTA that much. I would probably, again, send them to my tutorial online. However, again, good enough. I can very quickly tweak it. So this is how easy it is to create that carousel. And it saved me all of that time of me having to type all of that content on top of my template. And now I have a full design that I can just rename at the top and then add the visuals and that's sorted. And of course, if you felt like going with further details in here, so you can see repurpose a blog post into a carousel. This is super cool. And I could actually create something like this, again, create client ready presentation deck, maybe design a scroll stopping carousel cover. All of these I can actually use. I can keep asking Claude to create another one based on the same design. So this would give me a few pieces of content that I can kind of spread out throughout my content calendar, which would mean that they're not, of course, like to be posted as is one next to the other, because of course it's the same exact template. But this could be an addition to my existing content just to make sure that I always have something to post. And of course, I'm saving time in the process. Okay, next up, we're going to try to create a lead magnet, something that you can offer to your email list or actually to invite people to sign up on your email list in exchange, of course, for this resource. These usually are really great. They help you grow. However, they do take a bit of time. So hopefully Claude can give us some direction and actually create this kind of Canva project for us. And that's going to be our great first draft. Now, something that I've done, just because so often the process of creating a lead magnet comes from like different notes that we have and different resources, like little scribbles that we had here and there, different ideas that are usually very spread out. And sometimes you just need someone to help you just parse that information and create a resource that would be much more cohesive. So I have actually asked ChatGPT to generate some notes for me. I'll show them on screen in here, but I've also just attached them to this project in here. This emulates something that you would potentially have in real life. And the idea is here to use a nutritionist business to create a PDF for us. Now, in terms of the prompt, again, we're making sure that the connector is enabled. Perfect. It's still there. So I'm going to use something like this. This is a much simpler prompt. I'm not giving it as much guidance just because I wanted to see how it does if it actually just uses something a bit more generic, maybe from the Canva library. I'm still trying to give it my brand kit. Again, I've not tested this workflow, so we'll see how it does, but let's prompt it and see what it does for us. Okay, so here's what we've got. Now, a little short intro. It actually generated like an invoice template in here for me, which is a very strange choice, and I don't know why it actually happened. However, it very quickly corrected itself and created this lunch guide as a doc. Now, Canva docs are really great. These are super usable in terms of like the content that you can create. So this is really cool. You will be able to then open it up within Canva and you will be able to actually go ahead and download it as a PDF. So if this is something that works for you, that's great. Now, at that point, just because of course you can see in here in the background that there's like a little kind of weird, modern that's interesting that there's like this moving element in here. Pretty cool, but I don't think it matches the style of a nutritionist that much. Now, again, would this be a great starting point just for you to be able to then redesign it and add different elements? Absolutely. I think it's much better than just to stare at a blank screen. However, I'll try to prompt Claude just to try to give me a PDF instead of doc. So let's see how tweaking works in that case. I'm prompting it to actually be more close to my food blogger kit, making sure that I'm including more of the recipes and useful notes that were attached in the doc, and of course asking to generate an A4 design rather than a Canva doc for this lead magnet. So let's see how it does. And would you look at that, Claude is the honest diva at the moment. So it says, I tried the AI document generator. It tried it 4 more times with the document type and then a report. And each time it was an unrelated pre-built business template that didn't work for this particular type. So it's now asking me how I'd like to proceed. So keep trying. I'll take it from here in Canva, rebuild as a correct Canva doc. So what I'll do at the moment is to click X, and I'm going to try to find a template within Canva that I can maybe guide it to grab, and then hopefully that's going to work. Let's see. Okay, so this is a template that I found, and I've actually just added it to my account. So I just literally just opened this template as if I wanted to edit it, and then I'm going to give it to Claude, and hopefully that's going to do it for us. All right, full disclaimer, it did take quite a bit of time. You can see the whole reasoning. Now, you have this call out in here. I think I was trying to find the exact document that I was giving it. Then you can see that it actually found it. And then look at this, literal architecture of the whole design. So it definitely took quite a bit of time, but I have the URL. So fingers crossed that it works. And now we've got this. Okay, cool. Of course, as I said at the very beginning of this video, this is not going to give you perfect results, far from it, but it actually is usable. So let me just push it to the top just so I can see what it's actually giving me in here. So you have simple lunches for your busiest day. Okay, cool. You have basic formula. This comes straight from the notes. You can see that in terms of the design itself, it actually gave me 3 instead of the 4 boxes. But again, this is super cool because I can actually grab this box and actually fill it with something different. So, it's a kind of copy and paste action from my notes from before. You can see if the lunch keeps slipping. Again, it was working off of a design that was here before. So again, it does require quite a few different tweaks. However, again, it saves us all of this kind of copying and pasting in here. Stock up your backup kit. So you've got the lunches, and then you have pantry, fridge, and freezer. Let your afternoon be the guide. So again, food safety, quick checklist. Okay, now recipes. This one definitely needs a little bit of a repositioning. I'm not sure what went wrong in here, but you can see that there are just layers in here that were underneath. So what I'm going to do is to try to grab this from the layers. I can't even catch the other one. Which one is it? Oh, okay, so it actually grouped it for some reason. I don't know why it grouped it, but I have these two. Yeah, so you can see that it's just kind of slight tweaks in terms of the positioning. Of course, you have to adjust the spacing ever so slightly because it's not the best. I would probably give it a different title and include some photos in here. So this could be something that you could do in here. Again, is it ideal? Probably not. Probably would take you a bit of time to just adjust everything. So this is one thing that I'm saying very often, and there's another video that's coming up from me in terms of the experiment of generating 100 different designs with Claude. Spoiler alert, it didn't go as planned, but I still intend on posting this video just because I feel like it has this educational value. So again, you'll have to kind of adjust different things in here, and it's not this perfect thing that's always gonna give you amazing results. So 2 more for the rotation. I don't know why in that case it didn't kind of copy the recipes from here, and it actually just gave a different one. So I actually like this one as a recipe, and instead of having kind of 2 recipes per page without the photos, I'd much rather have something like this and maybe with 1 photo. Again, I think it was just using the pages from the original, and then you have 2 more for rotation, so a completely different breakdown. I'm not a big fan of this, but you've got your guide in here created by Claude. So again, it's a matter of tweaking. You would still spend a lot of time if you were to use just the template. So you can see again, the template is very, very similar. You have these things in here that you would have to fill. So you can see that actually follow this meal plan and then the kind of the preview in here. So you would be able to create it with Claude and then tweak it. I don't know if you prefer the template way but this is what it is. Now, quickly, before I give you my honest take, let me just cover something that will save you a ton of frustration, and that's knowing when to talk to Claude and when to actually just fix things yourself in Canva. Now, I rely on Claude for the kind of big stuff, the broader stuff, so maybe analyzing my notes, anything that's having to do with finding a good angle, maybe asking for a few fresh versions from something that we've created. But for the design of things like spacing, maybe placing specific elements, choosing the right image, I actually prefer to do it myself in Canva. So as you've seen in my example, I actually let some of the placeholders be there as they are without changing them with Claude, because that's just an easier way of doing things. Of course, it should go without saying that anything that takes longer to explain to Claude than just like doing it would should definitely be done in Canva by yourself. Now, I think this connector is brilliant for getting you past that like horrible blank page stage, or the overwhelm of the information that you have to parse through to give you something clear as a jumping off point. But relying on it for the whole process, for every creative decision, and frankly, even the style, is not the best. Your expertise, your point of view matters so much, whether that's like for content, that's for resources you're building, or anything else to do with your business. Because if you go to Claude for that, you're actually losing your leverage, which is your humanity and your uniqueness. So I'd love to know, now that you've seen how it all actually works, what would you try creating with it? Let me know down in the comments. And of course, if you've tried it already, I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. And make sure you watch this video next, because it's another super helpful tool to work with that can help you today with your content. If this helped you out, make sure to subscribe and give this video a like so I can keep bringing you more actionable content. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.